Hey, what is up, mortals? It's Kiki Cakes here, and before we get into today's video, there's something I'd like to say. I'd like to let you all know that we have a merch store. Some of the items in it are only available for a limited amount of time, so if you're interested, go into the description and check it out. Each purchase helps us make more content. Secondly, if you didn't know, only 25% of you guys are subscribed to us, so please hit that subscribe button and click the bell icon. Now with that out of the way, let's get into the video. Narehate from Made in Abyss, which are called the Hollow in the English dub, are beings that survived going to the 6th layer and retained the curse when they went back up. The result of surviving is that their bodies have become deformed and can take many different forms depending on the person's circumstances they were under when they transformed. The name Narehate comes from the Japanese term Nare no Hate, which means the shadow of one's former self. The two main hollows in Season 1 are Midi and Nanachi. To keep with the canon of Nanachi's ambiguous gender, we will be referring to Nanachi as they. Their history begins when Nanachi and Midi's pasts are shown. Nanachi was living in poverty and never had a good life, scavenging in the trash for food and sleeping in a drainage system. But they always wanted to learn more about the mysterious abyss and make something of their life. Nanachi was alienated from other people due to smelling bad. Midi's previous life is ambiguous, but it is known that she aspired to be a white whistle, which is why she decided to go into the abyss originally. Noticing Nanachi's artistic talents, Midi introduced herself to Nanachi and the two became friends. Nanachi was soft-spoken and shy, whereas Midi was outgoing and social, making them a perfect match. They were part of a large group of children that were invited to explore the depths of the abyss by a white whistle named Bondrude, who actually wanted to use them for his experiments regarding the curse of the abyss. They were all taken to the 5th layer of the abyss, Bondrude's research center, Edo Front. He kept the children in a room filled with toys and books. During their time together underground, Nanachi and Midi became extremely close, growing a strong bond, while the other children who had appeared with them disappeared one by one. Midi and Nanachi made a promise to always be together, but Midi was taken away by Bondrude to be experimented on. Nanachi followed them, wanting to stay with Midi. Their close bond ended up making them the perfect candidates for the experiment in Bondrude's eyes. Bondrude experimented on the orphan children, testing their ability to withstand the curse of the abyss by forcing them into a glass elevator that dropped to the bottom of the 6th layer, then rapidly rose them back up. He wanted to see if there was a way to negate the curse and didn't care that he was using small children as guinea pigs. Almost every single child failed to survive and became a hollow. Their latter forms can be seen when Midi and Nanachi are forced into the elevator and plummet to the bottom, the miniature garden of Dawn. The former children appear as blobs of flesh, barely able to move and most likely having very little brain activity. Their minds are completely gone and seem to be driving a pure primal instinct. The elevator Midi and Nanachi were forced into was made up of 2 capsules. One would receive the full effects of the curse, and the other would hopefully receive the blessing, which was just not being affected by the curse and losing their own self. Bondrude informed them that Midi would be the one to suffer the curse while Nanachi would be receiving the blessing. He hypothesized that their close bond would make the experiment a success due to their strong will to stay together. Midi was shocked that the white whistle she looked up to could do something this horrible and told Nanachi to stay strong for her. She then received the curse, losing her entire physical form, melting to a blob of flesh and teeth like the children at the bottom, screaming in pain and wishing for death. She became ultimately unable to communicate from that point forward, and all of her intelligence seemed to disappear. Nanachi prayed to survive to stay with Midi, who had become their most treasured friend. They suffered a transformation as well, but kept most of their physical form, gaining animal attributes and keeping their mind intact. Their new appearance was of a rabbit-esque human, with long ears and large paws. Ironically, they now had a sweet smell to them that was attractive to other people instead of smelling bad from going in garbage. After the experiment, Bondrude forced Nanachi to work as his assistant, reluctantly, while he performed further experiments on Midi, testing her abilities as a hollow to show emotions or feel pain. Midi's new form seemed to be indestructible, unlike any other hollow, and any form of violence inflicted on her would quickly heal. Nanachi learned a lot of medical knowledge from the time spent helping Bondrewd, including how bodies work along with the secrets of the plants in the abyss. Using this knowledge, Nanachi tried many times to save Midi by killing her and putting her out of her misery, but failed every time. Since Midi was unable to communicate or show emotions, she could not let them know how much pain she was in. Every injury she sustained would regenerate with new tissue. Nothing seemed to make a dent in her body until Bondrewd attacked her with the relic, Sporagmos, which destroyed one of her eyes permanently. Nanachi felt incredible guilt at helping Bondrewd lure children to him so he could experiment on them like he did with their original group, and the fact that Midi was stuck inside an inescapable hell. A point in time came where Nanachi couldn't bear to see more children suffer or see Midi suffer anymore, and ran away with Midi. They made their way to the 4th layer and crafted a hideout, making sure to stay out of the eyes of anyone passing by. By the time the main story begins, Nanachi and Midi had been living in their hideout for quite a while. Nanachi spent that time trying to figure out ways to kill Midi's body and free her soul. Even though Midi is a shell of her former self, she's still affectionate to Nanachi and wants to be around them constantly. When Riko and Reg made their way down the layers of the abyss, Nanachi secretly observed them. Their friendship reminded Nanachi of Midi, and when Riko was attacked and poisoned by an orb piercer on death's door, Nanachi decided to help them out. They are taken to the hideout where Riko stays unconscious from the poison and Nanachi has Reg collect ingredients to create an antidote. During this time, Reg displays the power of his incinerator, and being an artifact from the abyss, Nanachi realizes it has the same power as Bondrewd's Sporagmos. Nanachi asks Reg for a favor, to kill Midi, so she won't be eternally alone after Nanachi someday passes away. Initially, Reg declines, but once he learns of their disturbing past, he agrees to it on one condition, that Nanachi not commit suicide after Midi is dead. Nanachi reluctantly agrees and sets up a final resting place for Midi, made up of pillows and blankets along with Midi's stuffed animals. After an emotional goodbye, Reg is able to finish off Midi, finally freeing her soul from her cursed body. When Riko is brought back from unconsciousness, she reveals to Reg and Nanachi that she could feel the presence of another girl nearby while passed out. Midi's soul met with Riko's, and Riko could feel her pain from being in a body that felt foreign. Midi took comfort in the fact that she could finally be by another person's presence. Before Riko woke up, at the time Midi died, she felt the other girl's soul ascending to a higher plane. Since Reg kept his side of the deal, Nanachi joins them on their journey to the bottom of the abyss. Before we get back into the dive, I would like to say that we've got a 3rd channel called Anime Theory. Anime Theory mainly focuses on a large variety of mind-boggling anime theories. Now, in case you guys didn't know, we are a secondary channel to our main channel, We the Celestials. We the Celestials is full of fun what-if stories. If you have the sugar tooth for great storytelling, please give that channel a visit as well. If you're interested in the content we share with all channels, make sure you click the icon on the top right corner or check the description below for a link to the channel. Now, with that out of the way, let's get back into the dive. The 3rd movie continues the story, since season 2 of the anime has not been made yet. On their way to the Sea of Corpses, the trio encounter one of Bondrewd's Umberhands, who takes them to Edo Front. In Edo Front, they meet a young girl named Prushka, Bondrewd's daughter. Riko becomes friends with her, and Nanachi is asked by Bondrewd to resume their position as his assistant. Nanachi agrees to this on the condition that Riko and Reg be allowed to continue their descent to the 6th layer. Bondrewd reveals that Reg is being experimented on by his Umberhands and will not allow him to leave. It is also revealed that some of the children who were experimented on were also turned into cartridges, losing their bodies and having their organs be the only thing remaining. Each child that became a Narihate had a light in Edo Front that shone as long as their consciousness was alive. Bondrewd learned of Midi's passing because her light went out. The trio fight Bondrewd and find out that Prushka has been turned into a cartridge. She turns her form into a stone so she can continue staying with Riko even after she loses her physical form. Even though they think they defeated Bondrewd, his consciousness is still existing. The manga continues past this point, following the group's descent further into the abyss. After Prushka's stone form was stolen, they come across a Narihate village while trying to find Prushka. The Narihate in Iblu are different from the Narihate created by Bondrewd, as they chose to take these forms. Becoming a Narihate bounds them to the village and they are unable to leave, but receive a form of their deepest desire and protection for the village. Nanachi discovers that Midi has been cloned and a new form of her exists in the village. When Bondrewd had previously brought the real Midi to the village, one of the sage Narihate could sense her immortality and recreated her from a desire to feed from her. Nanachi is extremely emotional from being able to see Midi again and tries to offer themselves to the Narihate in exchange for Midi's freedom. Nanachi has to make the hard decision of whether to stay with the cloned Midi in Iblu or continue on without her. They decide to continue their journey, not wanting the real Midi's sacrifice to have been for nothing. After another tearful goodbye, Nanachi watches Midi fade away and promises her that they'll meet again. This is as far as the story has gotten in the manga, and as of now, it is unknown if Midi will make another appearance. Nanachi has stayed as a main character, and that most likely will not be changing. Even though they had a rough childhood, Nanachi has been shown to be very competent at surviving. They're able to observe people without being noticed, detect curses, and is very intelligent, retaining information. Nanachi also has incredible artistic talent, as shown when Midi praised their skills and when Nanachi drew a picture of Riko, Reg, and Nanachi. They have a unique signature when writing their name, adding in a bunny symbol. Midi's background is mostly unknown, but some theories come up that she may have been trafficked because of her developed body, which would explain her risque outfit and why the other children shun her. Thank you all for watching the video. Now there are a few more things I'd like to go over before the video ends. Firstly, I'd like to let you all know that we have a merch store. Some of the items in it are only available for a limited amount of time, so if you're interested, go into the description and check it out. Each purchase helps us make more content. Secondly, I'd like to thank our 5+ Patreon supporters for helping to fund these videos. Lastly, on behalf of We the Celestials, I'd like to thank the writer for this video, as well as the editor. Their details will be in the description. If you're a voice actor, editor, or writer, or you're interested in becoming one of those, go to the Discord that is in the description of this video and hit up the head of one of those areas. We're always looking for members to join us. That's it from us for today's video, so thank you all for watching, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you're interested, and hit that like button if you liked the video. Until next time, peace out mortals, have an amazing day!